And welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. I know some of you are working, some of you are on vacation, some of you are just kind of wondering how the end of the summer is so quickly approaching. We thought that it would be a good idea to have a couple of community forums to walk our families through mostly our health and safety plans for this year, as well as, just making sure that you understand drop-off procedures and pickup procedures and things like that. We have separated our new families from our returning families because our returning families kind of lived through this last year. They're pretty much pros at the majority of our health and safety protocols. And so, in order to, give more direct attention where it's needed, we decided to have two different community forums, one for our new families and one for our current families. Before we get into the really health and safety piece, I just want to say that we are super excited to get the school year started. We've been working very hard this summer, both with professional development for our faculty and staff, as well as several projects we're doing on our campus. We've gotten, last year we started bringing in new furniture. We are still bringing in more furniture as we speak. So all of our grades from second grade through eighth grade will have new furniture, some of which came in the end of last year. First grade will get new furniture about the middle of September, and we'll do early childhood towards the end of this school year. We also, up in middle school, we've done all new carpet and painting of all the classrooms. And we've expanded a ceramic studio that was a pretty small area, and we knocked down a wall and created an expansive ceramic studio that's also going to be another art space for us. We created a new science lab in the new section of our school, and created a new patio, which you see, we're still doing some work on it. Should be done in about a week, and really excited for our students to get to use that area as well. Right now, our new faculty and staff, those who are new to WES, today is their first day of a 3-day orientation. And we're excited to have them here. And next week, our entire faculty and staff will come back for a week of preparations and professional development and collaboration as we get ready for our students to return the following week after that. So lots of excitement. And so we can't wait to see your children in a couple of weeks, and hopefully to see you as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about our health and safety plan. And after we get through all of the health and safety stuff, we'll get through, we'll talk about some other logistical pieces as well. And we'll have some questions that we can answer as well. I do have Stacy Bailey on the call as well. Stacy is our school nurse, and she is going to help with all the tough health and safety questions, and probably explain some of the reasons why we do the things that we do. And Stephanie Jayakanthan, who is our communications director, is also here. She will be monitoring the chat. And so during our presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll either answer them afterwards, or if Stephanie thinks it makes sense to answer them right away, we'll do that as well. So a quick overview of the best practices that we incorporate here. First is our masks, and we're going to get into each of these a little bit later on. Very quickly, the big pieces are the mask, the physical distancing, our daily health monitoring that we do, and the weekly COVID testing that we started implementing last year. And like I said, I'm going to get into those 4 things more specifically in a minute. But other pieces of our health plan that are very important to us is, we are lucky that we have put in new HVAC systems in 90% of our building over the last 2 years. So we have the ability to run those all the time and bring in fresh air from the outside all day long and even through the evenings as well. Those, because they are brand new, they also can take MERV 13 filters, which is a very highly rated filter. And, not all air conditioned systems can take those because it requires a great deal of air to push the air through those MERV 13 filters. But we have put the MERV 13s in last year to all of our spaces. Also, it's not here, but we've also put in air purifiers in every classroom as well. A higher degree of hand washing and sanitizing. When you come in the building, you'll notice that there are hand sanitizing machines just about everywhere, outside of every classroom, in the entrances of the building as well. Students will often, as they're entering a classroom or if they're leaving the classroom to eat, will hit the hand sanitizers, pretty frequently throughout the day. Also, last year, we hired an additional facilities staff member, and 90% of what she does is to go around and disinfect areas throughout the day. And so we will continue with that this year. And, it's been, last year, we were very, very successful in implementing these strategies. We did have some students, some family members, some teachers get COVID last year, but we did not have one in-school transmission in the entire year. And so we were quite fortunate. We're very proud of that fact. And we are very optimistic that we can continue with that this year as well. So let's get into some of these pieces a little more specifically. Let's talk about masks. So we will be wearing masks throughout the entire day. And that goes from our youngest students in nursery and our oldest students, as well as our faculty and staff. We will have a couple of grade levels where students are vaccinated. 100% of our employees here are also vaccinated. But because of what we're seeing with the Delta variant, we have made the decision that everyone will be masked throughout the day. Students take off their masks to eat, and eating will be done mostly outdoors. And our youngest students take off their mask when they nap as well. We do give what we call kind of mask breaks throughout the day. And so oftentimes, if we're outside and we have kids far apart from each other, we can give them a mask break. For those of you who have not experienced their child going through a school day with a mask, 2 summers ago, we were very nervous. We kept asking ourselves, how in the world will a 4, 5, 6-year-old go through 6 hours, 7 hours a day with a mask on? It is amazing, their resilience and their ability to do that. They can do that. In the beginning, it takes a little bit of reminding. It takes a little bit of helping them get it fitted just right and things like that. But they can do it. We did it the entire last school year. And so, yes, we'd rather be maskless, but if wearing masks is going to keep us in school, we are going to go ahead and do that. So the types of masks that we think are appropriate, if you're wearing a cotton fabric mask, it should be 2 or more layers. It should be well fitted. A way to have a mask that are well fitted is to make sure the masks have a nose clip and the adjustable ear loops that allows them to be fitted as well. Obviously, if you want to have your child wear, you know, a K95 mask, that is fine. Surgical masks are fine as well. What is not fine are gaiters, mask with valves, and masks with only one layer of fabric in them. And we will be providing all students with 2 CDC compliant face masks. These masks that we are giving out have 3 layers of fabric. It also has an insert if you want to put a filter in there as well. It has a nose clip, it has the ear loops, and it's got some West Dragon prints on there as well. Stacy, any other comments about masks that you want to make?
I think you really did cover that very well, Danny. If anybody would like to order more for their child, we order them from PurekaMasks.com because they offer everything that Danny just said on that list. They are also sized for your child, so little smaller dragons will have smaller size masks versus our older students.
Really quickly.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, we also, we did get one question real quickly about mask outdoors, which I think would be appropriate to address at this time.
Yes. So at least for, I would say, the first couple of weeks, maybe the whole month of September, we will be wearing masks outdoors. Yes, the CDC says that you do not need to wear a mask outdoors if you can keep the 3 feet of distance. What we find during recess, what we find during PE is that keeping that 3 foot of distance is difficult at times. And so when we think about, you know, would we rather the kids wear masks and allow them a little more freedom to socialize and to get together, or are we going to have them not wear masks and totally keep them 3 feet apart? We have decided that we're going to start the year off wearing masks outside. Now, when we go to eat outside, obviously we do not wear masks, and we sit the students 6 feet apart from each other during lunch. What I was going to share is we recommend that you send a second mask into school, especially for our younger students. And so, you know, if the mask gets dirty, we can put on the second mask. Oftentimes students might change a mask after lunch or something like that. Obviously, we have masks here in case we have to give a child a mask once they're here. Okay. All right, moving on. A little bit more about mask and also about physical distancing. Stacy, do you want to talk a little bit about fomites, which is what we were quite concerned about last year, and we're a little less so this year, and how that fits in with masks?
Sure. The fomites, which are particles on surfaces like books, computers, desks, really are not the primary way to contract COVID. We were very concerned, like Danny said, last year about it because we were unsure. So this year we're not going to be, you know, super sanitizing books and things like that, but we will be doing our chairs and our desks and our high touch surfaces. The reasons for the masks is so that those aerosol particles are not landing on the desks and so on. Right.
And then also it does stop the kids from touching their mouth, touching their noses as well, which is helpful. Our physical distancing protocols for this year will be 3 feet. And that is from the CDC. That is a change from last year, which was 6 feet. So we are going to move to a 3 feet of distance between desks, and again, as I mentioned, 6 feet distance while eating. many of our desks, especially in elementary and middle, when you sit students, you can put desks together and be 3 feet apart. So this will allow us to do a little bit more collaborative work than we were able to do last year. So we're quite happy about the 3 feet rule, because it does give our teachers a little more flexibility with collaboration with their students and how they arrange their desks. Hold on one second. So our daily health screening, we use an app called Magnus, and Magnus is, if you've been sending in your health information for your child, you've been doing that through Magnus. And Magnus also has an app that allows us to put questions in that app. And each morning, our families answer the questions. And the questions, it's probably similar if you've had a doctor's appointment in the last year, you've probably had to do something similar. And so what we ask you to do is take your child's temperature every morning and answer the questions. And it's helpful to do that before you leave the house. If you answer the questions a certain way, you will get a go green, which will tell us that everything is fine and you should be able to come to school. If for any reason you answered a question a certain way that gives you a stop, it more than likely means that your child is experiencing a symptom that would require the child to stay home that day. And some of the questions are around temperature. Is your child, does your child have any of these symptoms? Has anyone in your family traveled internationally? Things like that. We will be finishing our Magnus questions next week. Our Magnus app will go live actually on Labor Day. So if you want to practice, you can do a practice on Labor Day, and then during orientation, obviously, we'll ask you to complete this before orientation, which also is another kind of practice before we go. And the way it works is you have it on your phone, and when you come through the carpool line, there'll be someone out there and you'll just show them the Magnus app. That person will be able to see the go green circle. They'll be able to see the date. And this is another way to kind of protect the students in the school and the community as well. The app, our last communication to you had directions of how to download the app. Directions can also be found in the parent portal on the COVID-19 page of the parent portal. And this is going to be something that I foresee us doing throughout the entire year. Another extra precaution that we use is as students come through the entrances, we have thermal scanners there that automatically take people's temperatures as they walk by. And so that is just another kind of fail safe that we use as students come through the school. Please don't, I know in the beginning of last year, the Magnus app caused, some nervousness. And listen, we know that apps, people don't always have them downloaded. People forget in the beginning of the year. It is fine. Our folks outside carry an extra thermometer. We can take the temperature of your child in the car. Well, we recommend that you maybe put a thermometer in the car in case you forget to do the Magnus app before leaving your home. You can, do it in the car when you're at a red light or something. But each morning, all of our families will have to do the Magnus app for each of their children. And again, the parent portal has directions for how to download that app, and it will go live on Labor Day. You can try it and it automatically resets the next morning. So you can do it on Labor Day, get a sense of how it goes. It will reset on Tuesday. If you are doing orientation on Tuesday, you please do it then, and or if you do it on Wednesday, you'll do it on Wednesday as well. So that is our Magnus app. And so here's kind of our illness policy, and this actually makes up a good portion of the questions that we ask with the Magnus app. The symptoms that you see on this screen, the ones that have the asterisk on it, if your child is experiencing any one of these, they should not come to school, and you should let us know about this. You'll see the three at the bottom that do not have the asterisks: fatigue, muscle, body aches, congestion, or runny nose. If your child has two of any of those, then they should not come to school. The Magnus app will be set up to so that you're kind of asking yourself these questions each morning. It's a kind of a nice reminder for this. And Stacy, do you want to talk a little bit about how the Delta variant looks and how it can be confused with things like allergies or a cold?
Yes, the new Delta variant looks much more like a head cold or allergies, unlike the first variant, which was more that loss of taste and smell and cough. That is still a symptom of Delta, but it is much more like an allergy or a cold. So, if your child has seasonal allergies, it's great to onboard them now just to make sure they're under control. If your child has a head cold, obviously stay home. And we're just going to ask you to contact your doctor to see if they want to do COVID testing at that time. The other thing I wanted to mention, Danny, is if they have a caregiver dropping their child off and doesn't have the Magnus app, they can take a screenshot of that day and then show that in the carpool line as well.
Great. And to be honest with you folks, even if you're dropping your child off, what I have found that parents find the easiest thing to do is to take a screenshot anyway, because oftentimes you'll have to log back in. But when you're at home, especially if you have more than one child, if you're at home, you do it, you get the green light, take a screenshot. So when you pull up, you can just go to your pictures and you got two screenshots right there to show. But no, great point. If you have a caregiver dropping off and they don't have the Magnus app, do the screenshot, send it to the caregiver, and that works quite well. For these things like fatigue and muscle body aches, these are things that are kind of new to your child, right? If your child is tired every morning, obviously that is not a new symptom. It might be something else we want to talk about, but that is not a new symptom. And so that's not something that would, keep your child at home. If your child, had a tough workout the day before and their muscles and bodies are sore, that's not this either, right? So these are things that are out of the ordinary for your child when you're thinking about these things. Okay. All right, COVID testing. So last year we implemented a COVID testing policy, and I think other than I would say mask and physical distancing, our COVID testing was just a huge component in keeping our community safe. We do it every week. This year it is going to be on Thursday, and it is required for all students and all employees, regardless of vaccination status. We will kind of revisit that as the year goes on, and maybe get to a point where we're comfortable with vaccinated folks not testing. But for now, we are going to test everyone. This year, which was quite nice, the state of Maryland will be covering the test, the cost of the test for all students and employees. If families want to test, that it would be your insurance will be billed for those tests. We have sent registrations for testing to you in our last communication. There is a different registration for students than family members. And so please go ahead and register your students definitely. And if anyone in the family will also be tested, please register them as well. Our first testing will be Thursday, September 2nd from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. It'll be under our tent. We don't have a tent right now, but we will have a tent before September 2nd. And it's right next to the school. You can't miss it. If for some reason, either on that day or any of the days throughout the year, that your child cannot participate in our testing, you can certainly get a test somewhere else. It must be a PCR test. And Stacy, can you please talk a little bit about why we require PCR as opposed to a rapid test?
To minimize false positives and false negatives, PCR testing is more accurate for asymptomatic individuals or symptomatic individuals. So we don't accept a rapid. You can do a rapid and a PCR if you want, but it's not accepted until that PCR test comes back. We do like a service called same-day testing. They are local here in Bethesda, as well as a couple other areas in Maryland and out of state. And those results come back usually within 1 to 2 days.
So last year, because testing was so new to everybody, our early childhood students, which is nursery through grade 1, they were tested after school and their parents escorted them to the testing site. During the school day, we tested everyone in 2nd and 8th grade. This year, very, very quickly into the school year, we are going to test every child from nursery to grade 8 during the school day. We think that many kids have experienced testing by now. This summer, we had students as young as 4 years old, and they were getting tested with our summer camp employees. And so we think it's just another way for us to provide a service for parents in that we'll do testing here on campus. Now, what we are asking is for our youngest students, our nursery and our pre-K students. So obviously, parents will bring them to the September 2nd date to get tested. And then the following Thursday, which is September 9th, which is the first full day of school, our nursery and pre-K students are going to get dismissed early at 3. They're going to get dismissed at 3 o'clock. And we're going to ask parents to take them to testing on that day. Again, it's just another way of kind of helping those kids, those youngest students, kind of transition to this testing procedure. And so they'll have kind of 2 opportunities to get tested with their parents there. And then starting on September 16th, all the students, including nursery and pre-K, will be tested during the school day. And then you will receive results emailed to you directly. We receive the results as well. We will probably receive results by the end of the day on Friday. And then that gives us time to make any changes we need to make for the week coming up. Okay. Contact tracing. So Stacy, I'm going to kind of kick this one over to you. Stacy is a certified contact tracer. She was certified last year from Johns Hopkins. And so Stacy, do you want to talk about how we do contact tracing here?
Absolutely. I work in conjunction with the Montgomery County Health Department as well to do further contact tracing. But what we do is we go back 2 days before the symptoms started, or from a positive test, and see who our close contacts would be. If your child is a close contact, the directors or myself will be reaching out to you to let you know that. You are the most infectious on the day that they start. And then testing is most accurate around day 5. So if you feel like you're exposed, getting a test right away isn't going to be as accurate as if you wait till day 5. That I think sums it up. If you are the close contact, Montgomery County should be reaching out to you. If they don't, feel free to contact me at my email or give me a call at work.
When we have a positive case here at school, usually between Stacy, your division director, and I, and me, we will pick up the phone and we will call any family whose child is a close contact, just to let you know and to walk you through kind of what are the next steps. Sometimes Montgomery County, Stacy, in the contact tracing kind of protocol, she describes what happened in the class and what the kids did throughout the day, and the Montgomery County Health Department will say, we think these kids should be considered close contacts. We don't think these kids should be considered close contacts. And so the one thing I will say is as of now, students or anyone who is vaccinated, if they are considered a close contact, they do not have to quarantine. They do have to monitor for symptoms, but they do not have to quarantine. So vaccinated people, for us, it's our students and our employees, and mostly it's our 7th and 8th grade students at this point in time. They do not have to quarantine if they are considered a close contact. So speaking of quarantine, this year is 10 days, or it's 7 days if the student or employee receives a negative PCR test taken on day 5 of exposure and remains symptom-free. And so, and that's both for the person with COVID as well as a close contact who is not vaccinated. And so what happens, and so I'll kind of turn a little bit here. What we do is, if let's say a child in 1st grade comes down with COVID, and we believe that child's entire homeroom section should be considered close contacts. And so that section, that homeroom, would move to at-home learning for either the 7 days or the 10. We will communicate with you and send you what you need and what your child needs to access the online, the at-home learning piece. As you probably know, last year, several months of the year were spent completely with virtual learning. And so our teachers are well versed in it. Our teachers are well prepared for it. Our technology is well prepared for it. And we will also, in the first couple of weeks of this school year, in our classes here, we are going to give kids reminders of, how to use Zoom, how to use Seesaw and other programs that we have to use if we need to go to at-home learning for short periods of time. And so we hope that it would be kind of as seamless as possible. Obviously, our goal is to remain on campus. When we think about this Delta variant, when I look at those who are vaccinated, those who still come down and test positive with COVID, their symptoms are similar to a cold. They are not getting extremely sick. And for the majority of the children who get COVID, they are not getting extremely sick either. What we're really looking at is how do we limit the number of quarantines during this school year, right? And so all of these layers of protection that we are putting in, obviously they are to protect the health of our students and our employees and our community, but it's also to really stay on campus, all of our homerooms, all of our grades, for as many days as possible, really trying to lessen the number of quarantines that a child or a group of children need to have throughout the school year. And that really it relies on all of us in the community. Now, I want to talk about that in a few minutes, but I think we have one more slide around health and safety that I want to hit, which is the quarantining due to travel. So right now, our only quarantining for travel would be for unvaccinated individuals with international travel. So if your child is unvaccinated and your child travels internationally, they will need to quarantine before they come back to school. If you have an unvaccinated household member who travels internationally, they would either need to isolate themselves from the student or the student must quarantine. And we ask that any international travel in the household be reported through our travel form, which is on our parent portal. And so again, this is a lot. Last year's travel policy was a lot more strict than this. So if you're traveling domestically, that is okay. Your child will not need to isolate for any domestic travel. It is the international travel of unvaccinated people that we're concerned about right now.
Danny, can I ask a quick question on that, or do you want me to wait till the end?
No, why don't we, so that this was kind of the last piece around health and safety. I'm about to get into some logistics. So why don't we stop here and answer questions around health and safety, and then we'll head into the logistics piece. So feel free to ask your questions.
Thank you so much. Thanks for this. A question about the travel quarantine. Is that something that obviously as things evolve that you might look at again, particularly in some of the high risk states that we're seeing right now, if you do have a family traveling to some of those high risk states, particularly with unvaccinated kids?
Right. Yeah. So Samara, we for just about all of these things, all of these protocols that we put in place, we are constantly looking at them. We're constantly in contact with our medical advisors, as well as we get updates from the CDC and others. And so as things progress, either positively or negatively, you're going to see our protocols more than likely change. And when they do change, we'll send something out and say, hey, for this reason, we are changing this particular policy. And so, you are right. There might come a time where we might say, all right, unvaccinated folks traveling to these high risk areas domestically will also need to isolate. Right now, kind of this is where we are. So Samara, that leads me to want to share this thought, which is we, meaning everyone who works at WES, all of the children who go to WES, and all of the families who are part of the WES community, we are kind of intertwined in this in these actions, right? So my behavior, not only while I'm at West, but when I'm at home, when I'm on vacation, whatever I'm doing outside of West, in 2 weeks, maybe even earlier than that, my behavior has the potential to impact others. And I know that all of us have been really impacted by COVID. Our social lives have been impacted by COVID. Our freedoms, our independence have been impacted by COVID. And the last thing we want is to continue to put roadblocks in the way of people's normal lives, right? But when our goal is to keep our students and community safe, when our goal is to keep our students on campus for as much as possible, I ask all of us to think about our behaviors at West, outside of West, because those behaviors have the potential to impact others. And last year, our families were fantastic, and many of them made awesome decisions about, my kid, I'm going to keep my kid home because, I think they're fine today, but last night they had a headache. I'm going to keep them home. It turned out that the student did have COVID, and if they would have sent them to school that day, they could have, impacted many more students. And so, and I don't say this because, we are not in the business, nor in this community, is there blame put or there's no shaming of folks. I mean, COVID is, like I said, impacting all of us, but I think it's important that we know that this is community work here. This is not just the employees of West. It is all of us and the decisions that we make that's going to make this as successful as it can be. And so I thought that kind of related to what you were saying, Samara. And I know, hey, we want to see family again, and we've got work and we got to get things done. And so that's all understandable. And so, and like I said, we will continue to change our policies and update them as we see the changes in CDC policies and other things like that.
Thank you. Thank you
Sure.
for saying that. I agree completely, and thank you for reinforcing that.
Thank you. Steph, any other safety questions that we want to answer right now?
Not in the chat box at this time. Some I have gotten a few questions I've answered directly in the chat box. So anyone else, if you've got a question, please ask. We're here.
All right. Well, I am going to move to logistics. Stacy, I know you have a meeting, so thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Folks, Stacy Bailey is a gem here at West, and you will certainly hear more from her throughout the school year. Stacy, before you go, any reminders that you want to send about people sending things about vaccination things? Yeah, forms, all that stuff.
Our Magnus Health forms. Yes, they were due on August 1st. So please make sure you get them in this week if you have not already done so. There are parent sections in there, as well as forms that require physician signature. All these forms are due yearly or reviewed yearly. If your child has an annual physical that isn't in the summer, so it's in November 1st, those medical forms from the doctor will expire on November 1st the next year, but you still would have to answer those parent questions by August 1st. So that's just a quick reminder that when you do your annual, to take those forms with you, and then you won't have to contact the doctor but that one time. Just makes it seamlessly, I hope. If you have a question about Magnus forms, I mean, I'm not a tech person, I'm the medical person, and I will be reviewing all those forms. So just send me an email and I'll get back to you. I look forward to meeting everybody this year.
Thank you, Stacy.
Yes. Oh, do you want me to go over COVID vaccinations? There is a part in the Magnus that will have you upload your child's vaccination card if your child is eligible. If your child is not currently eligible, you just say no. And then when they do, you can upload that at any time during the year. We will be hosting, we did this when our 12 to 15-year-olds were eligible for the COVID vaccine. We did have Walgreens come to the school and run a COVID clinic vaccination for us, which was very convenient. And I plan to do that once we get approval for our younger students. So we'll stay tuned for that in the fall.
Great. Thanks, Stacy. So we're going to turn a little bit and talk about some logistics and just getting everyone ready for the first week or two of school and just making sure we're all on the same page with things. So let's talk about how we are going to drop off and pick up. And so we'll start with early childhood. So early childhood drop off is between 8:15 and 8:30. If you enter our campus from Little Falls Parkway and take the second left, and when you enter, there's an immediate left. You're not going to take that. You're going to take the second left. There will be signs, and you'll probably see a line of cars, and you will get in line. And while you're in line, someone will come and walk up to your window, and you will show them your Magnus app. We ask that when you enter the drop-off line that you and your child or children put your masks on because we may need to communicate, during that process. You're going to pull all the way up to these doors. You'll see at the top picture there is the early childhood drop-off doors. We let out either 2 or 3 cars at a time. Because of COVID, we will not unbuckle children from their car seats. So the easiest thing is you pull up and put the car in park, hop out, and if your child needs help with the car seats, right? If your child can unbuckle themselves, then that's fine. We'll open the door for you. The child will walk through the doors. They will sanitize their hands. They will walk through a scanner, and they will head off to class. If you have an early childhood student and an elementary student, you can drop the elementary student off with the early childhood student. That is fine. And the elementary student will just go, upstairs instead of staying on the first floor. Elementary drop off is, we say 8:15 to 8:20. 5 minutes sounds like a pretty quick drop off. Just it would be good if you start coming in around 8:10. Elementary kids can get out of their cars a lot quicker than early childhood students can. For elementary, when you come off Little Falls Parkway, you're going to go straight. And when you get towards start coming towards the front of our school there, you'll see you can take a right and kind of loop around, and you're going to loop around. There will be people there telling you what to do, but you're going to loop around and pull up as close to the gym steps as possible. We'll open the door. Your student will again go through the scanner and head upstairs. Again, we will have someone in there to check your Magnus app as well. And it's pretty simple. With the number of elementary students who will probably be dropped off with their early childhood siblings, elementary drop off will be not so large this year. Middle school students, their day starts a little bit earlier. So their drop off is from 7:45 to 8 a.m. In the back of the school. Again, you make the second left and you come up. It's very similar to the early childhood drop off, except there are different doors back there. It's the doors you see at the bottom here with the new patio area. Again, you get in line. We will have a Magnus checker out there. Your student hops out. They go through the scanner. They walk upstairs to the third floor. If you have an elementary sibling, you can drop your elementary sibling off with your middle school child. Or even if you have an early childhood sibling, you can drop them off with the middle school child. If you do that, the children who come in, if it's elementary with middle, those students will go to before care until it's time to go upstairs. For orientation days, which are the Tuesday and Wednesday, for students in nursery through grade 4, you all have kind of individual visits with your teachers. For you, it's best to just park your car. If you're elementary, park out front and come in the main lobby doors. If you're early childhood, park out back and you're going to come through the early childhood doors here. Please do your Magnus app for orientation. For one, we want to make sure your child is healthy. 2, it'll be good practice. Grades 5 through 8, your orientation is more like a regular day of school. And so you will follow these drop-off procedures. So those are kind of drop-off procedures. A caveat: the first couple of days of drop-off, go slowly. Students are bringing lots of things to school. For our youngest students, sometimes it's a little difficult to separate from a parent. And so do expect drop-off to run a little slow the first couple days of school. But we will get it up and running smoothly quite quickly. Pickup. So early childhood and elementary pickup are essentially the same pickup. You come to the front of the school, you'll loop around, pull up as far to the gym doors as possible. Again, there will be people out there to help you. You will get a card during orientation day with your child's name on it. Please put these cards on your front window, on your dashboard, so that our name caller can see the child who needs to be picked up. We can call them on the radio. When you pull up, your child walks out and joins you. So that begins at 3:20 for early childhood and elementary. For middle school, depending on the day, some days your children will get out at 3:30. Some days your children will get out at 4:30. And I'm not really talking about Fridays, where you can also get out at 2:30. But middle school will be up front as well. Again, you just pull up, we'll call the child's name, and they will come out. Again, much like drop off, the first couple of days of pickup will probably go a little slowly. Once the after school programs begin and we don't have as many students leaving at 3:20 or 3:30, the pickups get a little lighter. We will also have Monday through Thursday, we will also have a 4:30 pickup for kids who are in after school enrichment programs or kids who are doing sports. And those pickups run the same way. You come up, you go through the loop in front of the school, and we call your child's name and they come out. Okay. Just a quick piece about before care. Before care is complimentary. You do not need to pay for it. We keep our students separated by division in before care, and before care really is only for early childhood or elementary students. And so we're going to keep early childhood separated from elementary. Families can drop off between 7:45 and 8 o'clock. In order to do that, we ask that you come, you park your car, you walk your child to the front doors in the front of the school. One of our before care team members will meet you there, check the child in, and get the child to where the child needs to be. If you're dropping off, if you have a middle school child and you're dropping off an elementary or early childhood student with your middle school child, they will walk in with your middle school child and they'll just go right to the extended day room, which you will show them. They're good to go. Before care will go until about 8:15. And at 8:15, they will be dismissed to their classrooms, depending on their age and depending whether it's the beginning of the year or later on in the year. They will either be escorted to their classroom or we will just tell them to walk to their classrooms. You can register for before care. It's the same website as our after school enrichment program and our extended day program. But you do have to register. We do not accept drop-ins for any of our before or after care program. So extended day is essentially our after school kind of childcare program. Again, children are separated by division, and we will have all 3 divisions in extended day. This time is used for several things. It's either active time or on the playground. We could be on the basketball courts, we could be on the gym, or we could be in a classroom doing some homework or playing some board games, things like that. We have an extended day director. His name is Caleb, and he will be running it, and he has an entire staff that will be working with him. Families can choose to either sign up for 1.5 or 2.5 hours Monday through Thursday, or 2.5 and 3.5 hours on Fridays. You register for the days that you need. Again, we don't accept drop-ins for extended day. And we open up registration on a trimester basis. So right now, the first trimester is open to register, same website as before care. When you want to pick up your child from extended day, you can either park your car and walk up to the lobby doors. There's a button, you hit the button, they say, "May I help you?" You say, "Yes, I'm here to pick up Johnny Mitchell from extended day," and Johnny Mitchell is brought out to you. If you have another child whose dismissal that day is a 4:30 dismissal and you're just going to do the 4:30 pickup, then just when you're in the pickup line, just tell folks that you're also picking up another child from extended day, and we'll send that child out. And then the after school enrichment program. We put this out. Again, these are different activities that run until 4:30 Monday through Thursday, and from 2:30 to 3:30 on Friday. Different classes from sports to cooking, STEM, art, different things like that. Some of these classes are complimentary, some are fee-based. Again, registration is on a trimester basis. Most of our after-school enrichment programs for the first trimester are filled. I think we are opening some new ones up next week as well. And then we'll open up second trimester probably in November. If your child is in one of these, then on that day, you will come at 4:30 to pick up your child Monday through Thursday and 3:30 on Friday. And it'll run just like normal pickup, but just an hour later. And you'll come, we'll call your child's name, and your child will be escorted to your car. Okay. So those were just some logistical pieces. And at this time, any further questions would be glad to entertain. I know we're running a little bit over time. Sorry about that. And if you don't have time to ask questions or questions come up later, feel free to email me. And I'm more than happy to answer through email or to hop on a call with you as well. We want the beginning of this year to be as smooth as possible and as comfortable and welcoming as possible for your child and your family. And so anything we can do to help that, please let us know. So, Steph, I'm going to stop sharing the screen and see if anyone's got any questions.
I did actually have a couple more in the chat box. We had one about if snack time is inside or outside. And then we also had a question about school supplies and things people need to bring or buy.
Sure. So snack time, as weather permits, will be outside. And if weather does not permit, we will probably move the kids further away. Plus, we do have some covered areas that are outside that we may use as well. But yes, snack and lunch will be done outside. For supplies, so the division directors, you should have received an email from division directors with a supply list. It is not much. Make sure a water bottle, perhaps kind of a sweatshirt for the little ones. There's a change of clothes, maybe some rain gear as well. I would see if you have an email from your division director, either Mary Lee Nickel, Zoe Hillman, or Kristen Cudahy, Early Childhood Elementary Middle School. If not, feel free to reach out to them, and they can certainly help you. But we do not require a ton of supplies from home. It's mostly things to get a child through a day, water bottles, masks, clothing for the little ones, things like that. We tend to go outside in rain. We tend to go outside in snow. We tend to go outside in cold. We tend to go outside in hot. So as much flexibility as you can provide your child in terms of clothing for those things, the better off they will be. But yeah, it's the supplies. I would just email your division director and they can help you with that quite easily.
Danny, I apologize for dominating some of the questions. Thank you. Will you be revisiting your policy about, kids who are eligible for the vaccine at 12 plus and trying to, I know you're highly encouraging that families get it. Do you anticipate you might require it at some point, or are you close to that 100% number anyway?
So we're close to 100% anyway. And I never want to say never. If you were to ask me today, what I think would happen is I think we would continue through this year with a high recommendation for vaccines, and next year require them. And those are my thoughts today. Things can certainly change. We did not want to start this year off requiring vaccines, first of all, before we had FDA approval with them. And then, hopefully the vaccines for our younger students will come out at some point in time this year. It looks like it might be in the winter. And, just with various conversations that we had, having it, to me, if I'm going to require it, I want to do it and give parents or families enough time to withdraw from school if that's not something that they wanted to do. And with what we did not know about FDA approval and what we don't know about the children's vaccines, I did not think it was appropriate to mandate the vaccine at this time. Again, that could change, but I am thinking that we will probably go through this year with vaccinations being highly recommended and probably mandatory for next year.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. Well, again, truly appreciate all of you taking time out of your day. We are so excited to have you joining the West family. We are psyched to see our kids in a couple of weeks. We think it's going to be a fantastic year. We appreciate all of your support. Again, you know, what is one of the most special things to me about West is our community. And when we talk about the health and safety of our children, this is a community endeavor. And so appreciate all your support, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks, everybody.